I'm gonna be completely honest, my jaw dropped when Nathan professed his love to Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, I'm in love with you. Elizabeth, I love you.
Then not only that, pretty big deal, he offered to quit his job in the name of love.
You want more than I can give you. It would just hurt too much if I lost you the way I lost Jack.
I would quit. I'd quit the Mounties.
No!
To film a scene that was as intense as that one, are you keeping to yourselves when you're on set and preparing to do that? Or are you kind of like having conversations about the back and forth? How do you approach it?
Kevin and I, we discussed the scene and what we wanted to get out of it. I think we were just like sitting in a tent together, trying to avoid the heat and the mosquitoes that were swarming us by the pond. There were some elements that were stacked against us a bit, but no, I think we discussed it. We spent the time together, and it's a very heartbreing scene.
I just had to be like, here's my heart. So I, distancing myself from Erin at the beginning would not have helped me at all. If anything, I'm just trying to see her again and get back in the rhythm. But the hard thing about that scene was my very first scene and at least one of Erin's first, and it was like 10, if 11, it was just the climax of the episode. So I think we were trying to find the right level, because we didn't want to go too over the top, and we didn't want to make it too cool. It was just kind of finding the right levels.
I think we did it.
Pretty intense. Yeah.
Yikes.
I'm looking forward to seeing that scene.
Oh, I bet you are.
When I read it, I was like, oh man, that's intense.
Yeah. I feel like Lucas is the guy who does the big move and has the big grand gesture, and to see something like this come from Nathan, I would love your reaction.
I imagined Nathan being Sean Penn in Mystic River, but instead of saying, "Is that my daughter in there?" he's saying, "I love you." Is that my daughter in there? Is that my daughter in there?
I think Nathan is the Sean Penn of Hope Valley. That's a great thing to say.
Nice.
Thank you.
Cheers. You're welcome.
Erin, of course, Elizabeth has a real strong reaction to hearing such big news from Nathan. Can you kind of walk me through what was going through her mind in that moment?
There's a line in the scene, something like, if I stay, it'll only make things harder. And I think that was probably the mantra that was running through her head, that sense of this is an impossible situation. I'm just trying to follow my heart, my gut here, and make a decision. And you are making it impossible. So I think the goal there was really to just extricate herself. And even when I was sitting up on that horse and Kevin cried out the way he did as Sean Penn
as Sean Penn.
Yeah. It was heartbreaking. I mean, he did such a great job, and thankfully we were able to get the horse to cooperate, and it was just get out of there.
And Kevin, this big Nathan moment, did that surprise you when you read that, oh wow, this is where this is going? Not only the love admission, but saying I'm willing to drop the Mounties if it means we can be together. Yeah,
absolutely. I remember reading the first two and I was like, wow, this is very out of his character. But it goes back to that point where his life kind of changed a bit at the end of season 7, where he's really kind of or reorganizing his priorities of what he wants and then what he's willing to give up to get it. So it did make sense, and it just did not go the way I think that he wanted it to go.
Well, there's still 10 more episodes that it can go either way.
That's true.
Chris, we've only seen some footage in trailers, but we know Lucas is, he's always got his game on point. Mm-hmm. We see him kind of gently placing his hand over Elizabeth's. We see a beautiful picturesque picnic. Now that we know Nathan is kind of performing at a 10 on the confidence level, what is that for Lucas and his approach to courting Elizabeth?
I think the stakes are a lot higher in season 8, rather than flowers being the kind of the biggest gesture that we saw in season 7. It moves to a date or physical contact, a hand on a hand, something like that. And there are a few events that Lucas tries to orchestrate. You see Lucas open up a little bit and show a bit of a sense of vulnerability. I feel like there are several picnic or outdoor eating scenes. I don't know.
That's called a picnic.
I'm outdoor eating, several of those.